Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted, to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart and whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. And for those of you who continue giving on the give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment by supporting the broadcast on our contribution page on our website at newlifeministriesinternational.com. We thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to discuss whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, we thank you for continuing to encourage family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues to tune in to 3D every day and to the Sunday sermon. We have seen a significant increase in viewership, and we thank you for that. We want to ask that you will continue to do so as we expand our platforms. We are going on RadioFreeNetwork.com. We will keep you posted as we upload everything and as we prepare to go live. But we will be live on RadioFreeNetwork.com, which is going to offer us additional platforms. So I'll be sharing some information with you regarding that, and we're going to continue to ensure that everyone has a place to hear from God, no matter where you are across the U.S., no matter wherever you are around the globe, no matter what platform you find necessary to use. We are going to be here to ensure that you continue to hear from God. Whatever God speaks to me, I will speak to you on subsequent broadcasts as you communicate your challenges and concerns right here in 3D. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your husband says that you become more irritable as you've gotten older. And you want to know, is this normal? Or is it possible there's something deeper going on with you? So let me begin by saying this. You have to ask yourself, first of all, why are you more irritable? And you have to ask yourself, is that a choice or is it being driven by some underlying current? And is it possible that your irritability is coming from a chemical imbalance? So those are the reason I'm stating all of those is so that all of our listeners and viewers can, examine themselves. In your case, I'm going to say to you that there is something God showed me in that secret place of your life. I was very prayerful about this, and God showed me that this is more medical and psychological than it is a choice. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to talk to your primary care doctor and to find out if there is someone, a specialist that you can speak to perhaps get the chemical imbalance back in balance so that you can have a better quality of life. If this were a choice that you were making to be irritable, then I would certainly tell you that. And if your irritability was brought on by some underlying currents between you and your husband, I would tell you that also. But that's not your case. So I'm going to encourage you, schedule an appointment with your primary doctor. Tell your primary doctor what is going on. Your husband didn't make that up. There is definitely something going on, and it is more medical and psychological than it is a choice that you've made to become irritable as you get older. Now, having said that, I want to give this to all of our listeners and viewers. That doesn't give everyone a free pass. That the older we get, the grumpier we get. The older we get, the more mature we become. We should be able to change the things about our attitude that we did not use effectively when we were younger. The maturation process of life should help us with that. And if it doesn't, then what you need is an attitude adjustment. And that's not for our listener to sent in this communication. This is for all of us to improve our attitude, to improve our quality of life, because as we know, attitude determines altitude, just how high you're going to go. Attitude also will determine how we're going to live a better quality of life. So, there are some people who choose to be moody. Now, I know, we say, well, they've got some personal problems going on. No, that's a choice. Because no matter what you have going on in your life, no matter what challenges you might face, no matter what obstacles you might face, at the end of the day, God is still in control of all of this. So what we are consciously doing is making a decision to resist what God is doing in our lives. And so often what God is doing is giving us an attitude adjustment, trying to change our behavior. So we have to be willing to make changes to continue to grow. And part of the reason that people, as they get older, become grumpier is because they don't want to change. They don't want to. We don't always like change. We would rather remain the way we are and live with life the way it is. But what we want to do, what we should want to do, is enhance the quality of our lives daily. Become a better version of ourselves daily. And that starts with our attitude. So if we're going to choose to be grumpy just because we're getting older, then we're not going to have the best quality of life. We have to be able to laugh. We have to be able to enjoy the joy of the Lord. And what I mean by that is, you hear people who are Christians who will say they have the joy of the Lord, they have the Holy Spirit dwelling in them, but they're in a bad mood every time you see them. That's not the joy of the Lord. And sometimes we think that if we demonstrate a hostile attitude, that it will cause people to keep their distance, that they won't mess with me because they know nothing good's going to happen. Well, guess what? That attitude, nothing good is going to happen either. Now, I'm not suggesting that we let people walk on us. I'm not suggesting that we let people mistreat us. We can teach people how to treat us, but we can do that without having a bad attitude. So I'm really delighted that our listener and viewers sent in this communication, because it gives me the opportunity to really share with all of our listeners and viewers what God wants of each and every one of us, and that is to examine ourselves. Let's start right here. For the remainder of this year, let's start right here. Let's start working on having a better attitude about everything. A better attitude about life, a better attitude about work, about a better attitude about our personal lives, relationships, everything that involves our attitude. Let's work on having a better attitude towards it. And when you really think about it, everything in our lives is going to be impacted by our attitudes. You know, someone with a bad attitude lacks faith. Someone with a bad attitude generally is pessimistic. Someone with a bad attitude places a ceiling over their head. And the truth of the matter is, there's enough of the world trying to place a ceiling over our head, over our success, that we don't need to do it to ourselves. So I'm encouraging everyone. You know, one of the things I say every month, on the last Sunday of every month in our church at New Life Christian Center, I say to everyone during our Holy Communion, let a man, woman, child, everyone examine themselves and determine how we can be better. Let's start with our attitude for the remainder of this year. You know, it's interesting because I could have stopped with the remainder of the quarter, but because that essentially gives us about 44 days. But that's not what the Lord put on my spirit. For the rest of this year, let's work on our attitude. Having the best attitude every single day. Let's get out of bed every single day with a new attitude, a new disposition. Let's not think about what we have to do that is going to disrupt our attitude. Let's just do what we need to do to maximize our success. But let's make certain we do it with the right attitude. Everything you do, do as unto the Lord. Do it with the right attitude, the right frame of mind. We'll work on the behavior next. But let's focus on our attitude right now. You know, we always use that old adage, you know, some people need an attitude adjustment. Well, we're the ones that can make our attitude, we can adjust our attitude. We don't have to wait on the Lord to adjust it for us. Because sometimes when the Lord has to adjust our attitude, it's not a good thing. It may be good for us, but it doesn't feel so good. Just be happy. That's the start of it. Be able to say to yourself, all right, I don't like the attitude that I've been living with to date. I'm going to change that. I'm going to live differently. I'm going to do what I know can be done to have a better quality of life. And I'm going to trust God to show me the way. If we start right there, for the remainder of this year, listen, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about attitude a lot the rest of this year, off and on during various communications. Let's work on our attitude for the remainder of this year. Let's work on having the best attitude that we can accomplish. Let's work on having the right state of mind every single day. And let's use this to build a better quality of life for ourselves and for our families. Because, you know, if you've got a bad attitude every day, sooner or later, it's going to cause the household to have a bad attitude. Let's improve our quality of life by just making some adjustments in our attitude, the way we speak, and the way we think. And you can start with that by changing the heart. Because from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And as a man thinketh, so is he or she. So we've got to start thinking differently. And let's make certain that we maximize the quality of our lives and that we experience the fullness of God. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you can experience America's T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill. And if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your husband is struggling because he has a very close friend who has asked him to loan him money. However, your husband is concerned that he will not repay the loan. He has discussed it with you, and you have basically told him that he probably will not get his money back. And your husband is not as concerned about the money. Now, you didn't say this, but God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. He's saying that he's concerned that he won't get the money back. But what he's really concerned about is that when his friend doesn't pay the money back, it's going to ruin their friendship. He doesn't need to struggle with this. Let me tell you the reason why. There's a couple of things going on here. First of all, God is doing something in the life of your husband's friend. He's doing something in his life that neither one of them can see right now, because what he's doing in the spiritual realm has not been manifested in the physical realm. But what your husband's going to have to do is get out of God's way. He's going to have to allow his friend to go through what he's got to go through to get to where God has appointed for him to go. And he has to tell his friend, and I know this is going to sound difficult for so many people, because he's going to have to tell his friend that his concern is that loaning him money is going to ruin their friendship. But he also is going to have to explain to him that he doesn't want to get in the way of what God is doing in his life. Now, that's hard for him to understand, and it is going to have an impact on the friendship temporarily. It's going to be hard for him to understand, because his friend to understand, because neither one of them have that type of relationship with the Lord. But you're going to have to tell him, and he's going to have to repeat it to his friend. He doesn't want to get in the way of what God is doing in his life. And what he needs to do is encourage his friend to develop a relationship, for both of them to develop a relationship with the Lord. And what that will look like is this. Your husband's married, his friend is single. So the two of you should invite your friend to come to church with you. You should tell your husband that you want him to come to church with you, and that the two of you should invite his friend. Because both of you, both your husband and his friend, need a relationship with the Lord. Pure and simple. And the problem is that so often we as men are the last ones to seek the Lord. You know, women will get closer to God more often than men will. I will say this to you. You know, my wife made a comment to me one Sunday on the way home from church. And she said to me, we have a lot of men in our church. You know, as many men as we do women. And I said to her, and what's really good about that, what's really great about that, actually, I said, is that we have good men. We have men who love God, those who are married love their wives, love their families. The men who are single love the Lord. They're looking for the one woman that God has assigned for their lives. They're not looking for a whole lot of women. They're just looking for the one woman, because he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. So, but we have a lot of men who are married with wives and children who are in church, who love the Lord, and we have single men in the church who love God. And I said, that's a great experience for a church to have, who have men who really love the Lord and are called according to his purpose, meaning they're willing to serve in whatever capacity God would have them to serve. Now, I say all of that to say what your husband and his friend need is not for one of them, for your husband's friend to borrow money from your husband. They need a relationship with the Lord, and his friend needs to allow God to do whatever he's doing in his life, and your husband needs to stay out of the way. If they can do that, if they can come to those terms, his friend will survive what he's going through. They will get closer to God, and the quality of their lives will be better. Their friendship may suffer for a brief period of time until his friend becomes comfortable with the idea of, my friend is not loaning me money because he wants me, he wants us to get closer to God and let God do what God will do. Because that's the best way. God's way is always the best way. Now, that being said, there are circumstances where we do help out friends. And you know, everyone who has ever been to my church and has ever heard me preach has heard me talk about these circumstances. It's different if someone comes to you with a life or death situation. Then we find ways to help. It's different when it's, you know, someone has lost their job and they have no income while they're looking for a job. But your husband's friend is employed. He's working, but he's got to change his spending habits. He's got to slow his roll. And he'll be fine. It's going to be tight for a while, but he'll be fine. And what we all want is a better quality of life, not just a temporary feel good, a better quality of life. So I'm going to pray for your husband and his friend that they too will find and develop a relationship with the Lord. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, they have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. Stop in at their retail stores. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York and at the Short Hills Mall in Short Hills, New Jersey. So if you're in either of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything that you could possibly need. They have home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in either of those areas, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that everyone expects so much of you. However, what you really need is some time to just enjoy being left alone without any expectations. So let me say this to you. It's very interesting when people depend on you and expect so much out of you. And you live that way for a long period of time without focusing on self-care. So you've got to focus more on your self-care. And what would you like to do? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And then just do it. And I'm not suggesting that you need to wild out. I'm not suggesting that you need to go off the rails. That's not what I'm suggesting to you. I'm speaking of the simple things that you might enjoy doing. Don't let everyone dominate your schedule, your time. Take care of yourself. Just take time out of each day to do something, or at least each week, something you enjoy doing that's going to take care of your body, mind, and spirit. What would you like to do? And just do it. If you like to run, I'm a runner, so I'll use that example. If you like to run, take time out of every day and get a run in. If you like to work out, go to the gym. The gyms are opening back up. Go to the gym, take an hour and some change every day and hit the gym. If you like to run and do the gym, do both. That's a 2-hour block. Take you 2 hours, run, hit the gym every day. Some self-care. If you're like me and you like to golf, go out and play around the golf. Whatever it is you like to do, whatever it is you enjoy doing, just do it. Put it on your schedule and do it. Self-care. You have to take care of you if you're ever going to be any good to anybody else. But when you have a lot of people who have so many expectations of you, if they're not pouring into you, you're not going to have anything to pour into them. And what I mean by that is, people who are really praying for you, not people who say they're praying for you. Because that sounds nice, and when you're not feeling well, or when you are really having a busy week in your business, they'll say, "I'm gonna pray for you." Well, but they don't really pray for you. Maybe when they have their meal, they'll sit down and include you in their grace, but they're not really praying for you. Pouring into you means that if nothing else, they take a moment out of the day or out of the week to encourage you. Our deacon chairman at our church yesterday made a comment about that. The 3 things that we can do to really encourage others. You can't be the one encouraging people in your family, your friends all the time, and nobody's pouring into you. Nobody's encouraging you. You too need to be encouraged. Now you got to encourage yourself, because David encouraged himself in the Lord. You got to encourage yourself, but you can't keep pouring into people who are never going to pour into you. And you can't spend all your energy trying to help people who don't want to be helped. At some point, the Bible says you got to stamp the dust off your feet, and you got to keep moving. Because if not, you're not going to fulfill the purpose that God has put or placed before you in your life. And that is the one fear that we all should have, and that is the failure of fulfilling God's will in each and every one of our lives. 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast today has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. And may God give you perfect peace. I want to say to everyone, this is a start of a new week. Let's really make good